Hey,
How are you?
good. How are you? Are you feeling better?
I've been drinking all the tea. I don't get sick. I just never do. And so I've just been, I don't know what's happening. And so it throws me off.
Yeah, I know. I don't get sick very often either. It's not fun.
No,
Hope you don't have COVID.
no, I don't think I do. I feel like I'm allergic to Oklahoma.
I'm allergic to Kentucky
Hmm.
1%
I mean,
for
the
sure.
wind blows like it's been nuts. And so I'm like, that's probably it. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Let me. Hi, Sarah. I'm so glad you're here. I'm gonna give everybody a few minutes to hop on. If we have any more coming on, I don't want them to miss, but I won't wait too long because I know everybody's got things to do. Okay, let me pull up my notes here. All right. Sarah, I'm going to open it up for questions. So if you have anything you want us to address, please feel free to use the chat box and let us know what you need from us. Okay. So we'll go ahead and start. I'm recording it, so I'll send it out to everybody. First of all, Jennifer, thank you for being here. So grateful for you. And I'm sorry that you're not feeling awesome today.
Okay.
But anyways, I want to introduce Jennifer to everyone first before we get started. Well, I guess I need to backtrack and tell you what we're talking about today. This training is all about, oh, here we go. We've got people coming on. So good. Today, we're going to be chatting through meal prepping and meal planning tips. And Jennifer is really good at this. And I think this can be one of those things that can either overwhelm you completely, so you don't do any of it, or you can kind of really break it down and make it simple and sustainable. And I think it can really work to your advantage to help you stay on track. So I think this is an excellent topic, and I like that Jennifer knows all the things about it, and you can hear from an outsider's perspective instead of just always hearing, what I do. And I'll be honest, I'm great at meal planning. I always have a plan. I always have my groceries. That's no problem. It's the prepping part that I don't do a ton of. But anyways, we're going to talk through some of that. And so I'm going to learn with you guys. So let me introduce Jennifer. Jennifer, thank you for being here. Jennifer has been married to her husband, Greg, for 23 years. And her favorite job is being a mom to her 2 college age boys, which I can't even imagine how fast that happens. And I don't want to talk about it. Jennifer also is a 2-time cookbook author. So I'm going to give you all those details and where you can find her cookbooks at the end. But she has a couple cookbooks out. One specifically, I believe, Jennifer, is macro friendly, right? Or both of them?
The second one is definitely post faster way. So after I did the faster way.
Okay.
And the first one I used a lot when I was in the faster way. I just manipulated it with all the things I learned in the faster way because we love the faster way.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. So I'll get you guys those resources. And then she is also a certified faster way coach, which is fantastic because she knows exactly what we do here and how to meal plan and prep accordingly. So she has always loved feeding people, and over time has discovered a passion for helping people use food to fuel their bodies and feed their family and friends. So the faster way has transformed her life, and it's also helped transform you in the kitchen too, right? So Jennifer is all about helping you guys feed yourself, your family, and the people you love the most, and doing that in a way that helps to promote a healthy lifestyle. So, okay, let's get started. If you guys have any questions about meal planning, meal prepping as we go along, use the chat feature, put those questions here. We will work through those. by all means ask all the questions. I think the more interactive the trainings are, the better. Um, so if there's areas that you struggle in regards to planning and prepping, put those there and we'll talk through it, but we'll open it up for questions towards the end as well. So first question I have for you, Jennifer, is where does your love for cooking come from, and how has that, living the faster way impacted that passion? How have you kind of married the two of those things?
Yeah, so growing up, my mom did every diet known to man, like the cabbage soup diet. I don't know if you guys knew that was a thing. I'm older than most of you, but she did the cabbage soup diet and she did every diet. And so I have sisters, and we all were fortunate enough to eat along with her on those diets. And they really just made me hate preparing food and cooking. And so it inspired me when I was getting married and becoming a mom to really make food that tasted good, that was kid friendly. We had a lot of Uncle Ben's rice and baked cod and things like that. And I just wanted time around our table to be so much better than that, and also to enjoy food. And then over time, especially with the faster way, learning how food impacts our body has really made me even more passionate about putting good food on the table that everyone's going to enjoy, so that it cultivates a desire in people to eat healthy, whole foods and to enjoy it and not feel like it's punishment, but to plug it into the sustainability of the faster way. Because when we enjoy our food, we're more likely to use it for better use.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't unmute myself for a second. That is fantastic advice. I love that. So before we get on into the next questions, or before I ask you more questions, I want you guys to all have your pen and paper out, because I think we're going to be giving you guys some good little nuggets that you can write down and use. But I love the fact that cooking healthy doesn't mean it has to taste bad.
Right.
I think there's a lot of like negative connotations out there about like what healthy food looks like or what it needs to be, and the lack of creativity that comes along with that. So I think there's you can actually find joy in creating meals and feeding your family foods that not only they love to eat, but also are really nourishing to the body. So, if you guys were on the training with Annie Downs, we talked a little bit about that too. And her message to me that always stood out was, people say food is medicine, but she says cooking has become medicine. And I truly think that when you open yourself up to the idea of being more creative in the kitchen and trying to find joy in that, rather than it just being like, ugh, it's just something I have to do, that's when it becomes more fun. And you can really, really enjoy the process.
Yeah, and I think you
While
really
you're
want to give yourself permission to try things, just try them. And then if you don't like it, that's okay. Move on to something else. There are so many options out there that if you don't like the first thing that you try, that's okay. There are a lot of other ways to have whatever you were having. And so I think letting yourself explore and not letting that dictate, like, I'm a terrible cook because it didn't taste good. We all have flops. We all make things that we're like, we're never making that again. And that's okay. And
right.
so I think just trying new things and making it fun. And I think Annie said this too, like it's an art, and just use it to kind of explore things and give yourself permission to, fail at it and just move on.
Yeah. And so we're probably going to get to this here shortly, but I just truly think that like you can basically take any traditional meal and make it a little bit healthier. It might not be perfect, but you can make some adjustments to those recipes that you're used to having and just make it a little bit more healthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can talk a little bit more about that here in a second. But first of all, let's talk about why you meal plan.
Okay, so I know the word plan for a lot of people is a four-letter word, and it's a never-ending battle. And I think part of the reason that meal planning is such a drag for people is that they don't like cooking, or they haven't had good experiences in the kitchen. They haven't found a system that works for them. And they haven't gotten to experience the benefit of meal planning being a surefire way to set yourself up for success when it comes to fueling your body properly, when it comes to feeling better longer and more often. When we have a plan and we have things prepared, we fuel our body, we are much more willing to be engaged in what we need to do, and it helps just in the big picture. We're better as friends and sisters and moms and people who are just connecting with the world because we're fueling our body the way we need to. But also, when we have a plan, it takes the guesswork out and it takes the stress out of trying to answer that question, what's for dinner? I mean, that is the most common question I've been asked in my lifetime, I think. I have not been asked another question more often than what's for dinner, because I have two gigantic boys and a husband, and it's like a constant question. And having a plan helps me get through that. But I think that meal planning helps us steward our health and wellness in such a more complete way. And it helps us be able to move forward in and crush all of the goals that we have. Um, and I think once you decide that you're going to meal plan, like you decide to steward your health and wellness, you decide to live the faster way and really claim those strategies for your life, then you are already ahead and you just need to put some systems in place.
Yep, for sure. And so we're going to talk about that now. I want you to share all of your tips and tricks for meal planning. I think, like I said, it can be an overwhelming concept to the point where you're just like, I can't sit down and spend hours meal planning. Like, I don't want to do that on Sunday, my only one of the 2 days off I have every week.
Mhm.
So I think it's just all about like simplifying it and making it easy so that it doesn't feel like a daunting task.
So I think number one, and I think you share this a lot, Lauren, is just keep it simple. Let's just keep it simple. Let's not overcomplicate it, and make it fun. So, like Lauren said, I love to take recipes that my family has enjoyed and just clean them up. If you don't feel comfortable doing that or confident doing that, you can DM me with that recipe. I will clean it up for you. It's like one of my love languages. I love to do that. For example, one of my sons, his favorite meal is King Ranch chicken. That is not the best meal for you to eat when you're trying to fuel your body properly, but I've cleaned it up. I have a clean version of it and feel really comfortable and confident feeding it to my family. It's quick and I can double it and things like that. So make it fun. Incorporate things that you enjoy. Um, Involve other people. So I always say, invite your family, invite your friends, invite other people to help you decide what you're going to cook. That way, they're more likely to receive the meal with a happier heart and be more excited about what you're cooking, because we all know it's a drag when everyone's like, I don't like this. But also, we need to move past that. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, about how we can't let other people's palates dictate how we fuel our body. It's really important to keep in mind. Um, I also think planning your dinners first, because that is the meal that impacts most people in your household, most people in your family. And if you can plan your dinners first, you can build your day around that. Um, and include things when you're planning, like include a night that you're going to have leftovers, include when you know you're going to eat out. And so that you can really have that all lined out. We eat in Stillwater, where my kids go to college, every Sunday. That's on my meal plan. People see that. And that's in my mind, I know. And then I also try to choose the restaurant where we're going to go so I can put that in my Fitness Pal. Um, Use your freezer. So shop your freezer when you're planning. It's very inspiring to open up your freezer and see chicken or pork tenderloin or ground beef or whatever you're going to have, because that can help you make your decisions more quickly. I also tell people to set a timer. Give yourself 15 minutes. Plan as many meals as you can in 15 minutes and go from there. Start small, because the more you do it, the easier it's going to get. And I also encourage people to try one new recipe a week. If you try a new recipe, it's really inspiring and it's really makes it more fun. And even if you can laugh about the failures, do that too. My family, we had this meal that I tried one time. We thought it was going to be so good. My family loves Asian food, and we made this Thai peanut pork tenderloin. And the ingredients looked great, and it was going to be just this great meal. And literally, it was everything we could all do to keep a straight face to take 2 bites because it was that bad. I do not know what happened. We've never made it again, but we always joke like, "That's the meal I'm gonna serve you if you are acting up." Like, it's the big joke. We call it the peanut butter pork tenderloin. It's terrible.
Right.
But I saved it just so we could laugh about it. But I think like you need to just give yourself grace when you're doing it and start small. You don't have to start big, but there are 5 things that I do every time I meal plan. And these are probably the things that you're going to want to write down. These have been the most helpful. I've done this for years. And these are some things that are game changers that make it less frustrating. So I always sit down with my calendar. I never meal plan without my calendar because we need to build quicker meals into days where we are at the soccer field, the baseball field, where we're going to be working late if we're, working away from the home and things like that. So you need to set yourself up for success by knowing what you're going into. You know that if you have a really great meal you want to try, you know that you want to try that on a day that you aren't moving and grooving and trying to get everyone out the door. Or you know that if you need to pack your dinner to go to a soccer game or a baseball game or something like that, you need to pack things that are easy to pack that you can make earlier in the day or the day before and things like that. So you always want to have your calendar. The other thing is check the weather. I always use the weather app. I do not want to eat a big bowl of soup on a hot day. Neither do my kids, neither does my husband. I don't think anybody does. And I've done that because I live in Oklahoma and it's like weather whiplash here. So one day it will be 80 and the next day it's 41. But use the weather app and that helps I can do it's going to be 40. So let's do crock pot and let's do soup that day. And I want a warm, comforting meal. Um, Again, ask for input. When my kids were little, I had a piece of paper that I kept on the refrigerator. They could write what they wanted to have on that. So if I needed to meal plan when they weren't there, they would think of meals that they wanted to have and they would write it on the fridge. And so I could just grab that piece of paper off the fridge. When they were really little, they drew pictures. And different things like that, but they felt involved in what we were having. And when they come home from college, they still will be involved. And that really helps because when we're trying new things, we know, okay, let's have one thing on the plate that we really know that they're going to enjoy so that they're not so daunted by all of the new things that we're trying. So just have that running list on your refrigerator, or you can have a notebook next to your refrigerator if you don't like to put things on your fridge. And even my husband would write things down because I had a rule that when we were sitting down enjoying a meal, I don't want you to make suggestions for the next meal while we're eating the one that I just made. So we had the piece of paper and they were welcome to put their ideas there, but they needed to save it for later because after you've been working in the kitchen, you don't want to say, oh, it would be really good. No, save that, write that down. And then choose your protein first. This is really big. Protein is our anchor macro. Protein is so vital and so important, and we rarely get enough unless we're intentional about it. But also, when you choose your protein, you are prepared to pull any meal together. Lunch, dinner, a snack, your breakfast meal, whatever it is, if you have protein prepared and if you know what your protein is, you can build any meal around that. And we're going to talk about meal prepping more in just a minute, but choose your protein first. Also, I think choosing your protein helps you eat more whole foods because when you get into casseroles that are too complicated, especially in the beginning when you're starting in the faster way, I think it overwhelms you because you're trying to track that and how do I know? And if you just keep the foods whole and keep them closest to their natural form, you're going to have more success and you're going to get more comfortable with that food and with planning that meal. Also, picky eaters are much more likely to eat separated food than they are to eat combined food. So that helps too. And then the other thing, post it for accountability. If you put it up, you're more likely to stick with it. When my kids were little, I would post it on the fridge. I laminate my meal planning template and I use Post-it notes because if you use Post-it notes, and something changes, you can take it off, put it on the back. When you go to plan your meals for the next week, you know that you have the groceries for that item, and less things are going to go to waste. So you can put it back into your rotation. And when my kids ask what's for dinner, I could point them to that. When they were in high school, I also sent them a picture of our meal plan. And so they weren't texting me in the middle of the afternoon in chemistry, Mom, what's for dinner? I'm like, look on your phone and don't ask that question in class. But posting it, and it helps you stay accountable too.
Yeah. Yep.
The last thing about the planning thing is, as soon as you have it planned, set a timer and try to enter every meal you've planned into MyFitnessPal. And then you can go each day and build off of that, so it's not so overwhelming. And you can set a timer again. Setting a timer really helps you feel like this is way more manageable than I think it is. And it helps you focus on meal planning, which is very important and valuable. And so when you set a timer to do it, then that helps you move forward better. And when you have things entered in MyFitnessPal, it helps you stick to it more too.
Love it. Yes, those are all such great tips. Thank you. I've learned from this myself, so I'm going to start implementing some of these things. A lot of what you said is just, you know, what we do here. I always incorporate my family. The less or the more involved they are in planning, I get this a lot. Like, I don't want to be a short order cook. Please don't be, first of all. And second of all, like, I don't want to make two different meals, or my family doesn't like what you're cooking, or what we're cooking. Well, you don't have to like what I'm cooking. You want to just accommodate your family to a certain extent and get their opinion, because the more involved they are, the less they're going to complain about what they're having for dinner. But also too, it's just finding those meals that are very simple and kid friendly and everyone friendly, that you can manipulate to make it a little bit healthier. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. The other thing that I do, that you guys have probably heard me say, is, as you are building your meal plans, the thing that's going to help you do this really quickly is having that master list. Okay.
Yeah.
So as you go through maybe you are just new to meal planning and it's taking you a few minutes longer in the beginning because you're searching through the internet, Pinterest, you're looking in cookbooks, it's a process. But as you go along and you find those meals that everybody loves, write that down. Like, this week, this meal was a huge winner. No one complained. Everybody ate it willingly. This is going on my master meal plan. And then as you develop that master list, it becomes so much easier to just bang out that weekly meal plan really quick, boom, boom, boom. This is what we love, reincorporate it. And it just makes your Sundays so much more efficient that way. And then, too, think about simplifying it even further. And maybe you do a 2-week meal plan and you rotate it. So you're going to have the same meals 2 times a month, so just trying to take all that information, have it in one place that's easily accessible, and then rotating and reusing the things that work really well. Okay. So
One more thing on the master meal thing. So I have a binder, and that when I try a recipe, it works. Everybody likes it. I print it off, put it in there in a page protector so I can pull it out real quickly. It doesn't get gross. I don't have to reprint it or do it off my, computer or phone. And that helps too, because when there are meals that are bad, I don't store those. We don't keep those. As soon as no one likes it or it doesn't go well, just get rid of it. Delete it from your phone and kind of detox from it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The other more thing I was going to say, and now I think it's left me. So hold on, let me think. What was it about? Now I can't think. So we'll come back to it. Okay, let's move on. How do you keep everything organized? I feel like we've kind of talked a little bit about that. You've got your meal plan. Stick it on the
A
freezer.
meal planning template. Then I have a binder where the master meals go, and I keep a list of meals that are really just good to keep in the rotation. And then there is an app called Pepper Plate. I don't use it, but I know a lot of people do, and they store all of their recipes in that so that they have it. Um, and they can pull those up because they like to keep them organized that way. But I think if you can keep them in a way that if you know that you're gonna, that you like to use a cookbook and really have your hands on that cookbook, um, use a post-it note to flag the ones that you like the most so they're quick to find, or do use a binder, or just kind of keep them organized so that, again, like Lauren said, you're not guessing. And when you know something works, you can easily manipulate that. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can manipulate meals, but like everybody knows most families like tacos. Well, there's 20 different ways, 30 different ways that you can use taco meat. And we'll talk a little bit about that, but that way, like when my kids are home, um, they don't like sweet potatoes. So when they're at school, my husband and I use sweet potatoes and sweet potato chips as a vehicle for a lot of things. When they get home, we use zucchini and different things like that. We kind of make a shift. But it's all the same meat. It's all, we cooked it all at the same time, and we'll talk about that a little bit too.
Awesome. Yeah. So we're going to get into, Elizabeth asked some questions about meal prepping. We're going to get into that here in a second, but I remember what I was going to say. The other advantage of meal prepping before we move on, sorry, I'm going to make this quick, but the advantage is that you are keeping your cost of foods lower by shopping your frozen foods, by taking what you've already got in the refrigerator and doing that by having a set plan. So you're not at the grocery store just like randomly grabbing things off the shelf, like who knows what you're going to end up with, and if it's even going, if you're going to remember what you picked it up for, and then you've got all of these groceries that you're not going to use. So I think that planning also has the advantage of cutting costs, especially when you are, getting the fresh foods and things that might be a little bit more expensive. So there's a lot of advantages to meal planning. Okay, let's move on to the next thing. Jennifer, share some of your strategies for meal prepping and batch cooking. And if you guys have any questions about meal planning, put those here. We'll go back to it. Meal prepping, put those in there. We'll grab them.
Yeah. So I always say prep your protein first. If you have protein, like I said before, you can have dinner within 20 minutes. You can build any meal around a prepared protein. And I like the idea of spending less time getting dinner ready so you can spend more time at the dinner table, because our time is precious. But if we can cut down on our time preparing our food or pulling dinner together, then we can spend more time around the table or doing other things that we need to do with our family. So prep your protein first. I always double my protein. And when my kids are home, I triple it so that I can be sure that I have enough. And I know some people, their budget doesn't allow for that, but if it does, you'll end up saving money over time by doing that, because you are less likely to just grab things and have to pull things together. So I always tell people, when the grill is hot, grill a lot. So grill when you're going to grill protein after you've seasoned it or marinated it. Grill more than you need. More chicken, more pork tenderloin, more burgers, more turkey burgers, whatever you're going to put on the grill. Grill more than you need, because you can put that in the freezer. You can save it for later in the week or a couple of weeks from now. And when you pull it out, you still have the benefit of the grilled flavor. You still have the benefit of it being cooked in a very healthy, clean way. And that is really helpful. I always encourage people to freeze your protein in portions that you're most likely to use it again in. But keep in mind that burgers, when you grill burgers, grill some in a slider size, because if you have kids who are playing sports, that is a great quick protein to give them before their game. You can do slider size with chicken breast, with pork tenderloin, with turkey burgers, with hamburgers. And that is a really good snack. It's a great thing to give them when they get home from school, with some fruit to kind of energize them and nourish them. They love that. And you can freeze things in those sizes as well. So you don't have to grill your chicken all in the same format, or your pork tenderloin all in the same format, but you can use the grill when it's hot, you grill a lot. Um, and again, freeze your proteins in the portions that you're going to use them in. Make sure they cool completely before you put them in the freezer. And I'm going to show you some of my favorite tools in a little bit, but one of them is parchment paper, because if you wrap your meat or protein in parchment paper and then put it in the freezer bag, it's really easy to pull out. It doesn't stick to it. And then you can defrost it more quickly because you're not waiting for the paper to disconnect from the protein. Um, there are even like rotisserie chickens. So I know Sam's and Costco and Sprouts and those places have sales on their rotisserie chicken. It is a great idea to get a bunch of those chickens at one time, pull all the meat off, separate it in light and dark or however your family prefers it. And then you can freeze that in advance so you don't even have to think about going to get the rotisserie chicken. The drumsticks are great. I freeze all of those in one big bag. My boys can pull one of those out. It's defrosted in 15 minutes and they can eat a drumstick, have a big bowl of fruit and some other things. And so it makes it really easy to grab. But then I freeze the rest in portions of making chicken salad, for throwing it in with a salad kit and things like that. So having your protein ready and just really making, when you grill, there's no reason not to grill a lot unless it doesn't fit in your budget. And then that's of course totally fine. When you're pulling together seasonings. So when I make taco seasoning, I just make homemade taco seasoning because again, the more I do the faster way and the more I understand the impact of food on my body, I know that it's cleaner when I can pronounce everything that's in it. So I just make a big thing of taco seasoning, just keep it and have it ready. And then when I'm getting low, I just refill that. Same thing with different spice mixtures. We have this thing called Sise Spice, and my husband put it together a while ago. It's on my Instagram, but we put a lot of that together so we can just use it and make it in large quantities because it saves steps later, and it literally adds 2 minutes to your meal prepping. I also try to cut and wash my fruits and veggies in advance if I can. One of my biggest tips about that is if you let your berries dry completely before you store them, that will double or triple the life of them. If you store them in glass containers, that will extend the life too. And then I save pasta sauce jars and things like that to do celery and other quick grab veggies in. The other thing is a stainless steel bowl. This is one of my favorite tips. When you get your lettuce and you wash it, put it in a salad spinner, get it all set to go. If you store it in a stainless steel bowl with a slightly damp paper towel on the top, it will stay cold and crunchy for triple the amount of time than if you put it in a baggie or something like that. The other thing is it tastes better than a bagged lettuce. So this step will take you, it'll take you maybe 10 minutes to take all those romaine hearts, chop them, wash them, spin them, and then store them. And then you can just pull out what you need throughout the week for any salads that you're going to make. But that is a game-changing tool. I also, there are fruit and veggie washes that you can use, and those are great as well. The other thing is that when you make a sauce, so like a pasta sauce or something like that from scratch, if you store it in a jar or store it in even an old ice cream tub, do you guys remember those big 5-gallon ice cream tubs? I'm not eating that ice cream, but my kids can. If you store pasta sauce in that, you can scoop it out from the freezer in the portions that you need. So it makes it slushy. It's the weirdest thing. I don't know why it does that, but it makes it slushy so you can scoop out the amount that you need. So if you want to make a big triple batch and hide all the veggies in it, like broccoli slaw and spinach and things like that are great things to hide in your pasta sauces to get more micronutrients in for your kids and even your husbands maybe. You can store it in a big tub and scoop out from there. And those are some of the things that I do. Now, when I make a casserole like the King Ranch chicken I was talking about or something like that, I always try to double or triple what I'm making so that I can cook once and eat 2 or 3 or 4 times, because it makes a huge difference when you're sitting down to plan your menu and you go, you know what? I have that in the freezer. That is awesome. I'm only going to have to really cook 3 times this week, or I'm only going to have to cook twice. And that takes some of the load off too. And if you're going to ground beef and make taco meat, it doesn't take any longer to make 5 pounds than it does to make one if you've got everything ready to go. The other thing I would say real quickly about meal prepping is that um, some is better than none. So just start with getting your fruit ready, or start with getting your veggies ready, or start with the food that you are the least likely to eat if it's not prepared. So if you are less likely to grab vegetables when they're not ready, prep the vegetables. Prep the food that you need to introduce into your diet the most in advance, because if it's ready, you're not going to want it to go to waste. And when you store things in glass containers, you can see what's in your refrigerator. And so it really makes you grab the things that you need to add to what you're doing to fuel your body.
I love that. That's awesome. Okay, so me personally, if I'm doing any prepping, it's generally going to be protein and doing like batch cooking, like you said. And I
Crock
think
pot too.
yeah, crock pot is amazing. So like for instance, this week I've batch cooked chicken, and you could just say, all right, this week we're gonna have two proteins. I'm gonna batch cook two proteins, and then you can make 7 different meals out of those two proteins. Or you could even keep it even more simple and just do one, and you can have chicken 5 different ways, so you can keep it really simple and easy, by just starting with your protein, just starting with that one thing that you're going to prep. The other thing I did this week is, what day was that? Monday, I think. I don't even know what day it is. Okay. Monday, I was making lunch. And while I was making lunch, I had a few minutes. So I went ahead and prepped my dinner for Monday night and my dinner for Tuesday night, which was a crock pot meal. I was already in the kitchen messing everything up. And it only took me maybe 5 extra minutes to prep my dinner for Tuesday. I was just throwing a pot roast in. And I threw everything in the pot, the instant, or the slow cooker pot, and then put it in the refrigerator. And this yesterday morning, I just had to pull that out, plug it in, and it was ready to go. So if you have a few minutes while you're cooking one meal, think ahead and think, okay, well, I'm going to be, I can do this at the same time, just to keep it simple.
Another crock pot thing that I've done is I plug it in the night before. So like if I know that the next day is going to be crazy and I just need to get it cooked, I will plug it in and let it cook overnight. And then in the morning, I can get everybody's dinner that we're going to take on the road so that we can ditch the drive-through kind of thing, all ready whenever I have time during the day, because everything's already cooked.
That's a great tip. Okay, so Elizabeth asked, do you prep on Sundays?
So I usually try to get some of my prep done on Sundays, but like Lauren, I try to, when I'm, getting my lunch ready to go to the office or things like that, I try to do a couple of things. So when I'm in the kitchen and I'm pulling things out, I try to have I try to utilize that time. So like if I'm in the kitchen and it's going to be 15 minutes, but I know I have 25, I try to get the next thing ready, or think like if I'm going to use of like if I'm going to make a big salad and I know I'm going to have salad 3 times, I try to get all my lettuce ready at once for the whole week, things like that. Yeah. Sunday. So Sunday is a great day to do it, but for a lot of people, they don't want to do it on Sunday because they want to relax with their family. So like I love to prep after leg day too, because after leg day, you're exhausted, but you are energized at the same time. And so that's a great time because my husband's making a big breakfast. So the kitchen's a disaster anyway. And so I try to get in there and do some other things and kind of clean it all up at one time too.
That's a great idea. And meal prepping doesn't have to be a Sunday thing. It can be a whatever day works best for you thing. If you are middle of the week, if you can meal prep on a Wednesday, do it. If you have the afternoon off on Fridays, that's a great time to do it, whenever you have an additional few minutes. So yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, anytime, like Lauren said, anytime you have a few extra minutes. So when you're cleaning up from dinner one night, think about what's for dinner the next night, pull it out of the freezer if you haven't already, things like that. And just give yourself some grace in it, because just thinking ahead and becoming more and more intentional, it will slowly become part of your routine. And then you'll experience all of the benefits of it.
Absolutely. All right. So tell us 10 things you always have in your fridge, in your pantry. What are your staple items?
Okay, so these are kind of random, but these are things that I never am without. So red peppers, red bell peppers. I eat a bell pepper sandwich a couple times a week. I put bell peppers in so many things. So I always have red bell peppers, and I think they're a great vehicle for so many things. Um, like when you're craving something crunchy, things like that. I always have boar's head, no nitrate deli meat. There are lots of different brands that have no nitrates, but I always have that because it's a great quick protein. When I get that, I weigh it all out because I usually eat about 3 ounces of it, and I store it in my fridge in 3 ounces. So I can just grab that to put it on my bell pepper. I grab that to put it on my salad or whatever. So when I come home from the store and I have that deli meat, I just weigh it all out and store it in the portion size that I'm going to eat. So I don't have to weigh it every time.
A great idea.
Salad kit. I always have salad kits in my fridge, and I add kale or spinach to every salad kit I make. I always just chop it up right in there and just boost the micronutrients a little bit with that. I always have chicken breasts um, and some type of berry, nut butter and nut butter pouches. One thing I learned in the faster way is I can't eat peanut butter anymore. That was really sad to learn. But when I started pulling things out of my diet, I was able to recognize how food was impacting my body, and peanut butter was a no-go for me. And I've been eating peanut butter for my whole life by the spoonfuls, and it was a really good thing for me to learn. So peanut butter and gluten, bye.
Yeah, both inflammatory for sure.
Yeah. Honeycrisp apples. I always have those because I can take those are great for a lunch. Those are great to make a sweet thing with. Those are great to put in the air fryer or the oven. You can do 20 different things with the apples, and um, they're just so super versatile. Always broccoli. This is a funny story because my husband, so I'm passionate about cooking, feeding my family. I love it when people enjoy a meal. I never, growing up, we had steamed broccoli with lemon pepper on it. That was steamed in the microwave with lemon pepper on it. That was the only way we had it, which I did not enjoy. And I ate it raw, but I didn't really like it cooked. And so my husband and I were at this thing for couples, and the question came up. It was like a newlywed game, and a question came up: "What's your spouse's favorite vegetable?" And I said mushrooms, but it was broccoli. And he hadn't told me. We'd been married like 20 years, 21 years. He never said anything. And I never cooked broccoli, you guys, because I didn't like the smell or anything. Now I make it, I make a spicy charred broccoli, and we have broccoli all the time now. But 21 years, he never said anything. So I always have broccoli, and we have broccoli once or twice a week now. Guacamole or avocado, because it's the best fit fat to add. And then I always have Chomps meat sticks because it's a great grab and go protein. But those are things that I always have.
That's awesome. I think a rotisserie chicken is one of those things that you can use so many different ways. That's a great staple. I love the grab and go freezer bags of broccoli. Those are one of my staples. I don't always use lemon pepper, but the thing is like that's where you can get versatility in your meals is by getting a good collection of really good seasonings. And that way you can have broccoli 10 different ways, but I love the little freezer bags of just vegetable medleys and broccoli and green beans, corn, all of those things. So yeah. Okay. So tell me what do you tell people who battle picky eaters? This is always like, and either like my client's a picky eater or their kids are a picky eater. Whose kids are not picky eaters?
Right.
That's unfair, whoever you are. But anyways, tell us about that.
So I always tell people that we eat with our eyes. So bright colors are really appealing. So if you have a plate of food that's not necessarily the most friendly looking, put some fresh berries on there, put something bright, because they're more likely to receive the plate with a better attitude when that happens, or even bright vegetables. They might not eat it. They might not eat everything on the plate, but their attitude is likely to not shift as quickly to, I'm not going to eat that if there's something bright on the plate. We always try to have one thing that everyone's going to like on the plate also, whether it is berries, a cut up apple, carrots, whatever it is, something on their plate that they're going to enjoy. My oldest son was the pickiest eater on the face of the planet, and I realized that he had an affinity for soy sauce. And so I started making vegetables with soy sauce. Now we use coconut aminos because I have learned so many things. But anyway, I started cooking everything with soy sauce, every vegetable. And he started eating all of them. And now he eats every vegetable, grilled, roasted. We don't need the soy sauce anymore. Thankfully, he's 21. But it helped him learn that it wasn't necessarily, he just, vegetables, he was like, and I think he'd seen a lot of people not like it. So he eats every vegetable except carrots and Brussels sprouts. He even eats kale chips. So that was a big game changer. Also, like Lauren said earlier, we are not short order cooks. We don't have time to do that, nor do we need to do that, nor is that a respectful thing for us to allow other people to assume that we should do. We need to really be willing to be like, hey, we are doing this because we love you, because this is part of our responsibility and role as your parent or spouse or friend or whatever. And we want to do that. And we want to do it in a way that's honoring to you, but also we want you to receive it in a way that's honoring to us. And so we're not going to be cooking all the things all the time. But we had the no thank you bite. So we would cook it, they would have to try it. The only words that they could say is no thank you. I don't like it, that's gross, nothing like that. It had to be an honoring thing. And also I wanted them to say something that if they were ever at someone else's house, they would that's what would come out of their mouth. Because I mean, literally, you guys, my son who's 21 now, was the look on his face was enough to throw you into a tizzy. But then when they got big enough, they had to make themselves a sandwich. And they decided real quickly that that is not awesome and it's not fun. And they don't want to do that because they have to get it all out. They have to make it, they have to eat it, and then they have to clean it up. Boys, especially, not fans of doing any of those things
No,
ever.
they're
So,
lazy.
yeah. And that can be for your spouse too. I mean, you can be like, babe, you know what? We're growing our palate here. We're going to just try new things and we're going to model what that's like. And I mean, obviously, then you make their favorite things as much as you can in between, because we don't want them to be mad or anything. But I really can't stress enough that you don't want to let a picky eater dictate how you fuel your body or discourage you from cooking and trying new things, because you are making significant changes in your life when you decide to live a sustainable lifestyle like this. And so don't let having a picky eater in your family dictate that. They will learn, their palates will grow. You can put things in front of them in different formats, but don't let that be the thing that deters you from doing what you know you need to do to make sustainable changes. It's really, really important, because there's nothing more discouraging than a picky eater. That can take the wind right out of our sails. It can be very deflating when we worked on a meal. But what we need to understand is that we are being responsible and intentional with how we're fueling our body. And we are really putting our best foot forward, and we're modeling what our family and friends and other people need to see. And so give yourself a big, huge pat on the back for making the decision to do those intentional things. And also let yourself fail too. I mean, if you make a meal and it's terrible, join them in the fun. Just be like, ooh, that was kind of gross. I wonder why. Like, let them, but do it in a way that you would want them to repeat it back to you. But don't let a picky eater dictate how you fuel your body, because you are just worth so much more than having your what you use to fuel your body dictated by someone else.
I love that. Yes. Amen, girl. One of the things that we do is, instead of making two separate meals, because that ain't happening. And I'll be real with you guys. I'm pretty tough love when it comes to what I'm fixing, because I spent the time in the kitchen. I had to do all of this hard work. You're going to at least try it. And I usually say, you get what you get, you don't throw a fit. And generally they will stick it out and eat it. But the thing is I'm not going to offer them things that I know are going to be miserable for them to eat. I'm at least going to say, well, I might be having this really beautiful taco bowl thing, but then I just break the ingredients down for them and it's on their plate. It's beef and a bean or whatever and rice, so it looks more kid friendly, appealing to them, but I can take all of that stuff and still make what I want to make. So, or I'll just, if I'm having broccoli and they don't like broccoli, I might throw some green beans on the oven. It's nothing that's going to take me any amount of time. It's not a separate meal. It's just an option. Like you said, Jennifer, always having something on their plate that that they will eat. So those are all Wonderful suggestions. I know that we all probably battle that. All right. So tell us what your favorite kitchen tools are. We're going to get to the end of this. And if you guys have questions, we'll open it up for questions.
So one of my favorites is parchment paper. It makes cleanup so much easier. It makes freezing and storing your food so much easier. I order a box from Amazon of 1,000 sheets, and I have it in my pantry and use it all the time. Roasting vegetables, roasting chicken, whatever. It's one of the best things. Another thing is a veggie chopper. I love that. I know Lauren shared a really good one. In fact, I probably want to update mine to that one. It looked really good. The stainless steel bowl that I talked about, you guys, this is a game changer. So it's great. The other thing is if I make a big, huge salad for dinner and I have leftovers that I'm going to use the next day for my lunch, I'm going to, I put all the leftover salad fixins in this bowl. I add the protein and I cover it so that the next day, all I have to do is literally pull it out of the fridge, and I squeeze citrus on it to make it fresh. And even if it had dressing on it, like in a salad kit, that brightens it up right away. And then I use that. So speaking of, yes, you guys, juicer imperative. A garlic press. Okay. So this is a controversial subject, and so I'm only going to touch on it for 1 second, but I think fresh garlic is way better. Or the frozen cubes that you can get. The brand is DIROT, and it's frozen garlic and frozen ginger because it's actually fresh pressed right into the frozen part. It is a game changer. It will change how your food tastes. It's also really good for you to use garlic as often as you can because it's a great antioxidant, it's a great immune booster, and it is a great way to flavor food without adding a bunch of anything. A mini whisk. I use this for protein shakes, for sauces, for soups. I make, enchilada sauce and things like this. This gets into the corners of the pan, gets all the nooks and crannies out, and I love that. This is probably my all-time favorite, the mix and chop from Pampered Chef. Ground beef, ground turkey. You can use it. Yes. Smashed tomatoes. Like if you want to make, like if your kids don't like chunks of tomatoes in soup, smash this, use this to smash it in the bottom of the pan. A good cutting board. My favorite kind is Epicurean. It's a wooden one that you can find on Amazon, but they are thin. They, don't take a lot of room to store, but also they're resistant to knife marks. And then this is another thing I really love. So this is great to wash just a little bit of berries, just a little bit of veggies, whatever. And you can get all different kinds of these, but it's just a mini strainer. It's also great so sometimes, let's say your husband does not like ground turkey, but you're going to use ground turkey and you're making ground beef for everyone else. Okay. But that's your decision, right? You're not being a short order cook. You're cooking for yourself and doing that. Then you can strain the meat in here, rinse it, and it's just perfect for about a 2-cup, 1.5 cup portion. And then I love the Always pan from our place. That's a big investment, but that is a great pan, and so good.
It really is worth it. It's definitely an investment, but I think it's one of my favorite things in the kitchen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, I love it. This has been such a great conversation. What do you guys have questions about? Is there anything that we can touch on that we haven't already discussed? Please feel free to ask questions. We will stay on and answer those as needed. Jennifer, do you have any last words of wisdom? Any last things you want to share with us before we go?
I think the biggest thing I would say is just decide to do it. Just give it a shot. And it might be challenging in the beginning, but it's so worth it. And depending on where you are in your faster way journey, the more you do it, the better it becomes. And it's so good for setting yourself up for success when you're learning to fuel your body the way you need to. And it makes it so much easier. It takes the guesswork out of it. And once you've decided what you're going to eat and decided that you're going to meal plan, you're going to put yourself in such a good position to really experience so many more benefits, but also you're going to put time back into your schedule, time back into your life. It feels like it's going to take time away, but it's really not. It's really going to multiply your time.
100%. Could not agree more. It really does. And it just takes that stress. It allows you to take that pressure off yourself throughout the week and enjoy things that you truly want to enjoy. Okay, so Jennifer, tell us where we can find you. I would love for you to share a little bit about the resources that you have available to us and how we can find those. And then I believe you've got some uh, additional resources. I'm going to share the link to those as well.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at Jennifer Sise, and I share meal planning, meal prep, recipe ideas, things like that. You can grab my cookbooks at jennifersise.com, and I have a code for you guys. It's just Lauren, and that's for $10 off. I love the digital downloads of them because you can copy and paste the recipe right into MyFitnessPal, manipulate it really quickly for the adjustments that you're going to make for your family, and then you are ready to go. You can also check out, I have a meal planning subscription that you can check out on my website. It's called the What's for Dinner Club. And you get recipes and tips and tricks and ideas. And then you can feel free to DM me any questions and let me know how I can help you guys with meal planning and meal prep. Thank you so much for having me here. Lauren is also going to give you guys a link to grab some resources. I have a meal planning template for meals and dinners and for your grocery list. So it's a grocery list printable. It's a meal planning template for planning your dinners, and then one for planning all of your meals as well if you do that. And those are free for you guys. The code for the cookbooks goes through Sunday night at midnight. And thanks so much for giving me the chance to talk to you guys. I'm really excited that all of you are part of the Faster Way, and it's game changing.
Yeah, it truly is. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. This was very helpful. I did share the link here in the chat feature if you want to grab that for the free templates. But I will also be sharing that along with the replay of our training today and posting that in our groups, as well as emailing it out to everyone. But yes, definitely make sure you follow Jennifer on Instagram. Her content is fantastic. It is always so helpful, and she makes delicious meals. So you cannot go wrong there. So, all right. Thank you guys. And I hope you all have a great day. I will chat with you all later and give you all the resources a little bit later on today. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thanks, guys.